What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Auto Auction Rebuilds, where I'm making a video for you on the same day that you're going to see it. It is currently Saturday, and this is today's video. It's after midnight because I like to do things the wrong way. If I find a problem, I like to tackle the hardest things first and then get to the easiest things at the end and find out that I wasted a whole bunch of time. So here we have my new to me 1987 Buick Grand National that I picked up about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago for $24,000. I personally think that was an absolute steal for this car. Now, it had a couple issues and it's got a few more that we're going to be working out. And as you can see, I started without you guys because I had something that I absolutely had to get done and I didn't have time to film it. And it absolutely involved nothing under the hood. Now, we got these wheels that we put on last week, and some of you loved them and some of you hated them, and that's absolutely fine. I anticipated that. These are the wheels that I actually bought for it. These wheels are supposed to go on this car, and these wheels are supposed to go on the Monte Carlo SS. Now again, these wheels are temporary until I can find a full set of these. I need the 15 by 7s. And I'm here to tell you, I've been everywhere there is to go for these things. Nobody has them, even if they say they have them. I actually bought 2 of these from another company, and they got a hold of me about a week later and said, oh yeah, there aren't any. Nobody has them, and we won't have any again until sometime in 2024. So these will be the temporary wheels for this car. Now that's really not what this portion of the video is about. This portion of the video is about what's going on back here. And you might notice it has no brake lights. Well, I took them off because I realized the other day I had a pretty serious problem. And let me shine some light on the situation so you can get a better idea of what we're dealing with here. Lots of light bulbs, voltmeter, wires, solder, and on the floor over here, a soldering iron and a heat gun. Don't worry, that flickering will stop now. Yeah, so remember I said that I like to do things the hard way? I like to tackle all the hardest possible problems first and then go back and check all the simple things last so that I can waste tons of time. Guys, it is after midnight. I should have been home already, and I haven't even started filming this video. So here was my problem. I would start the car, turn on the headlights, and I noticed when I turned on my headlights, something was wrong back here. The lights on this side only were really, really bright. And on that side, they were really, really dim. They looked exactly like they look right now. Nice and dim. You see the license plate light? Nice and dim. But these were super lit. Well, I thought, okay, you know, maybe I've just got a bulb issue. And here's the other issue. When I turn on the left turn signal, nothing would happen. You couldn't get any left turn signals on this at all. It would do absolutely nothing. It would just sit there. And when you hit the brake lights, nothing happened on this side either. And the third brake light that's, well, you can't see it. Oh, hold on. Is that light flashing? Oh, no. I hooked it up to a turn signal. I hooked it up to the wrong one. Well, you know, that's fine. I bet it doesn't do it when I hook it up when I turn on the right turn signal. It's only going to do it on the left turn signal, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to do a little more work. Obviously, I hooked it up to the wrong wire. Well, somebody has been in here before, and they did a little bit of wiring of their own. And I dug into it, and I got it all straightened out. And when I was done, I thought for sure that was going to fix the problem. It did not. It did not fix the problem, guys. It didn't. So I replaced all of the light bulbs, and that's when I figured out there was a problem with this one right here. This bulb, instead of being a dual filament bulb, see, the outside ones are dual filaments. Dual. The inside ones here are for your backup lights. Those are single filament bulbs, probably like 1156s or something like that. Well, here's what somebody did. They took a single filament bulb and they stuck it in. They forced it because it doesn't have, this is what it's not supposed to have. All right, just a single connector on the bottom. I can't think of the word because it's late. A single connector. That's what it is not supposed to have. And here is what it should have. It should have 2 of these. Well, these are not interchangeable, and somebody forced it into the socket. So what happened is no matter whether you had tried to use the brake lights or you're trying to use a turn signal or parking lights, there was only one filament. So it was lit all the time, and it was feeding back into the rest of the lights on this side. That's all it was. So I had to absolutely destroy the bulb. This is what's left. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. This is what's left. Yeah, that's... Once I did all of this wiring, almost for nothing, other than I did get the third brake light working. When I hit the brakes, the third brake light comes on, but now apparently it also comes on and flashes with the left turn signal. I'll address that later, but the point is, I fixed it, and all it was, there was no wiring. It was simply the wrong bulb stuck in that outlet. Okay, like I said, lesson learned. Now I can start filming and we can get on with this portion of the video, which is a little bit of work getting done to the 3.8 liter. And this is another one that I went and bought a bunch of parts for. I'm actually working with a couple of specialty companies that deal with these turbo 3.8s. Hopefully we're going to get some sponsored components to help turn this thing up a little bit and make it a little bit nicer in another video. But check this out. I went out and I spent some money. Have you guys seen one of these? Do you know how? Some of you know exactly what this is. Some of you have seen this before. Take a look at this OTC Monitor 2000. You guys recognize this, right? And cartridges? Oh yeah, this is if I can get in here. This is beautiful, guys. 5-in-1 imports, Ford, Chrysler, and GM. That's port fuel injection, multi-port fuel injection, throttle body fuel injection, all of it. You got a little accessories container over here that's got, well, there's a lot in here, guys. That's not all. I bought some baby oil, not for what you guys are thinking. And I bought this, an Ansel S1000 smoke machine. I bought all this stuff for a reason, guys. And if you take this monitor out, you look at the back of it, you'll see I've already got the cheat sheet for the GM port fuel injection. You can kind of see what all's on the back. This will run the codes, and you can look and see exactly what codes are on here. This is going to do more than that, though. This will be able to read out things like mass airflow volume, oxygen sensor cross counts, intake air temperature sensor, throttle position sensor, cam sensor, crank sensor. All right, this is going to be able to tell us a lot so that we can tune the car and get everything dialed in. Also, I got a new AC Delco fuel filter. This is pretty important, and I'm hoping maybe that will help us get it running a little better. Also, I got some NGK G-Power spark plugs, 6 of these. These are platinum alloy spark plugs, and we have 6 of those. 2 windshield wipers, 4 of them actually. 2 for this car, 2 for the Monte Carlo SS. We've got some Castrol GTX 10W30. We have a factory AC Delco oil filter. We have, that's for the Monte Carlo SS. Oh, you guys know what this is? This little tiny thing right here? It says Boost Pro. Yeah, this is for later, but you guys know what that is, right? That's for cranking the boost up a little bit. The center caps for the new wheels. We have a container full of silicone hoses. These are legit silicone hoses, very nice hoses. It's every size hose and the correct length that you cut to size, of course, for the Grand National. Right here, I have some instructions on what we need to do to set the intake or the idle air control solenoid. You actually have to set these up. These don't just plug and play and they're good to go. You actually have to tune and dial this stuff in. I've got some of the numbers that we're supposed to be seeing from some of the sensors. We'll see what this all looks like when we plug that tool into it. And then, of course, I've got a ton of other components here that are actually for the Monte Carlo SS. One other thing that I did without you is I took this cobbled together cold air intake out of the Grand National. I actually did that about a week ago. This thing, somebody obviously put a lot of work into it. You know, it's very sturdy. I'll give it that, very sturdy. I had a very difficult time getting it out, but I did not care for the air filter running all the way under the front of the car. And by the way, for some of you that are still skeptical that this is a Grand National, you might see right there, you see that gap? That's there for a reason. That is not like that on a Regal, all right? Or this is for a Grand National. See how this is hard plastic? Same thing right here, really hard plastic. That's not that cheap little flimsy thing under there, right? That directs air under the car and to that beautiful intercooler right there. Now, I found a couple things out today. I've put probably about 100 miles on this car. It was running absolutely horrible. And then suddenly, as I was driving it today, it was running perfect. It was able to hold 10 to 12 PSI of boost. It wasn't cutting up anymore. It wasn't freaking out. It was idling perfect, running perfect. I couldn't believe it. It was almost too good to be true. And then when I got down here today, I heard the catalytic converter making rattling noises. It wasn't making rattling noises before, but it's making rattling noises now. That's because I think what was wrong with this car, and is probably still kind of wrong with it, is the catalytic converter has been plugged this whole time. It's been clogged up, which has been causing a lot of problems, and it created a new one. Do you see that down there? Do you know what that is? Dead in the center of your screen. That's a ginormous crack. And do you know where that crack is? Well, if you guessed the exhaust manifold on the passenger side, you would be 100% correct. Yeah, the exhaust manifold on the passenger side is literally cracked in half. Now, keep in mind, the exhaust runs from the driver's side, crosses over, okay? It crosses over, connects up to this exhaust manifold, which then feeds the turbocharger, and then goes from the turbocharger out this massive, I'm guessing that's at least 3, maybe 4-inch downpipe, probably a 3-inch downpipe, and out to the exhaust. So if you have an exhaust manifold over here that is cracked in half, you're not possibly going to get all of your boost pressure into the turbocharger. It's not going to happen, which can also cause it to run a little bit rough. Now, there's a place called Carbon Performance, and I've ordered a new oxygen sensor from them. It should be coming soon, or oxygen sensor, mass airflow sensor from them. It should be coming soon. And then we've got a lot of work to do in an upcoming video, guys, and I think we're going to tackle quite a bit of it. I'm trying to work out a deal where we can get some stainless steel headers, complete new headers. I also want to do the lower intake manifold, the upper plenum, and we also need a proper intake air pipe from the turbo to the MAF, and then from the MAF to an air filter. That's a big deal. Then I want to upgrade the injectors, probably 60-pound injectors. I want to tune for 91 octane. I want to crank the boost up to about 20 PSI, and I think at that point we'll be able to have a little bit of fun. But first, we got to get it running right. So what I want to do in this video is relatively simple stuff. We're going to change the plug wires. I think I've got 8.5 millimeter plug wires. These are Blue Streak. These are really good plug wires, ladies and gentlemen. Right here, yeah, these are race-proven 8.5 millimeter plug wires. So we're gonna put the plugs in. Another thing that changed, remember my front brakes were squeaking? That's because they hadn't been driven in a long time. I pulled the wheels off, put new wheels on it. The brake pads look brand new. It doesn't squeak anymore. And here's another interesting thing. I'm going to fire it up for you, and it's probably going to run like crap. But we were having problems out of the PowerMaster brake system. The brake light would keep coming on every time I hit the brakes. Well, I think my brake bulb burned out. That's why the brake light's not coming on anymore. Well, the brakes have been working perfect, so that's... Do you hear that rattling? Now it does break up a little bit. Oh, here we go, it's gonna die. Yeah, well, it looks like the, yeah, it looks like my brake light burned out, so I guess that's the reason why the, yeah. I'm also working on trying to get a dual pillar, a dual pod pillar, as well as a, what is it called, a ScanMaster G, I think. Not the ScanMaster 2.0 that sits right here, but like the actual pod one. I'm trying to get a new boost gauge. We're going to really work on this thing. So we got a little bit to do today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to run this. I don't want it to be hot because I'm getting ready to work under the hood. But off camera, I'm going to go ahead and button all of this up. I'm going to clean out my trunk because it is a mess. I'm going to put my brake lights and tail lights all back together again. I'm going to run the third brake light to the proper wire so that it doesn't flash with the left turn signal. And then I think I'm going to switch out these rims. I'm going to do all of this off camera. So when we come back, it should all be back together. We should have these new wheels on here. And then we can start under the hood doing a tune-up and changing the fuel filter, changing the oil filter. And hopefully, maybe, then we can get to doing a little bit of tuning. We'll even try using that smoke machine to see if we have any leaks. All right, and just like that, we're back. I took off the old, I mean, these are all brand new wheels, but I took these off because I really did buy these for the Monte Carlo, and even though, honestly, I'm not sure it makes that big of a difference, I kind of wanted to put the wheels that I bought for the Grand National on the Grand National, and the wheels I bought for the Monte Carlo on the Monte Carlo. So here they are. They're these 5-star, still in the same American racing style and finish, just 5-star this time. And instead of the BF Goodrich, we've got the Cooper Cobra Radial GTs. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Personally, I like them. I'm not going to ever like them as much as I like the original wheels. But, we've been through that 100 times. At some point, we will find what we need. We will probably put these back on the car. But for now, there it is. Also off camera, I did fix the third brake light. I got it fixed like it's supposed to be. I double, triple checked everything. All the lights in the back have been replaced. Every single light bulb back there has been replaced. I've also replaced the light bulbs in the bumper because they're pretty... they're not super difficult, but they are somewhat difficult to get through. So almost every light on the car is new, except for the headlights and these 2 corner lights. So now, I also installed this. This car only came with 1 wiper arm on the driver's side and a bad windshield wiper. This had no wiper arm at all, so I bought a set of wiper arms and a brand new set of wiper blades, and now they both work like they're supposed to. So now, finally, I can get to what I've really been wanting to get to, and that is pulling the plugs and the wires to find out what these spark plugs look like and replace them with some platinum spark plugs. Why don't I get to that now? And then, if I have time, I mean, it's already, guys, this video has to come out today. Generally, I post these videos around 9 a.m. It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm nowhere near done. We still got a fuel filter to do, which is under the car, I think, on that side. We got the plugs, the wires. I got vacuum lines to do. And then we've got some tuning to do. So this is going very slow. One of the things I definitely want to address is changing out all of these vacuum lines on the vacuum block, because maybe you can see right there, it's kind of split a little bit. I think this could definitely be a source of leaking lines. We also have a PCV valve that is not in the motor anymore. It kind of, I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of out. That should be plugged into the intake, but this vacuum line right here is kind of dried up, and yeah, it's not doing so hot anymore. So I definitely want to get some vacuum lines taken care of. We may have to adjust the throttle position sensor. We're definitely going to reprogram the idle air control valve and make sure that the idle speed is properly set to about 750 RPM and park. So why don't I jump into this? Let me pull out these plugs. We'll start with the passenger side and see what they look like. Well, guys, it's been a while. I know some of you are going to get mad that I didn't film the whole thing, but this is why, man. It's pushing 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm nowhere near done yet. I've got the new plugs in. I had to re-gap these plugs to 35 thousandths. So plugs are in. The new plug wires are in. And if you see all of this, this is all old, rotten vacuum line. Look at some of this vacuum line, guys. This was for the fuel pressure regulator. This, I think, went to the EGR valve. These are just little pieces. Some of the hoses were like this. Yeah. So yeah, all new vacuum lines, all of them, except, hold on, except for these plastic lines. All right, there's these horrible little plastic lines. Thankfully, none of them are broken. Everything is still connected, and everything is still holding vacuum, so that's good. But right here, all of this, brand new, and all of the hoses are silicone hoses. Oh, you know what else I didn't do? I forgot. The turbo. I didn't do the, crap. I didn't do the vacuum lines from the turbo to this little boost controller right here. So, guys, I'm going to leave those. I'm going to leave those for now, okay? Because I've got the new plugs, the new plug wires, all the new vacuum lines run from the EGR valve to the little EGR solenoid, the fuel pressure regulator, the purge canister to the fuel tank, the purge canister to the hard line, the little ball. You guys know that little ball? Take a look at this. You guys will remember this. It's a GM thing. I had to run a long vacuum line. You see that ball? From that ball way around over here. So that's done as well. So basically what I'm saying is I got most of the vacuum lines done. I do want to do the ones at the turbo. I totally forgot about those. But right now, what I want to do is I'm going to crack the garage door, and I want to see if it runs any better now that and I took this off too. I took this manifold off. I cleaned everything up. The gasket was still good. I put it back. And the most fun part of all was the EGR valve. I'm so tired, guys. The PCV valve, which sits way down here. I don't even know if you guys can see it. That's a fuel injector right there, where you see this hose. Right there. Way down there. That PCV valve was not even in the engine. It was just kind of floating above the intake manifold. So that was a lot of fun. And these little things right here, oh man, getting silicone hoses to fit this tight next to each other, not fun. Not fun. But I've got it done. I did not change, dang it, I need to change the fuel filter. Let me go ahead and do that before we try to start it. Oh, and this is great. The coil pack, it was not tightened down. It's got these little like T25 screws all the way around it. When I started messing with taking some of these wires off, 3 or 4 of them were not even on. They were just like sitting on, like somebody had been working on it and left it. They were not tight on the coil pack. And these screws that hold the coil pack onto this big heat sink to keep it from burning up, yeah, onto the control module, yeah, these screws were not tightened down. I mean, I had to really, really tighten them. Valve covers also very loose. I had to tighten those as well. So I don't know what somebody was doing under the hood of this car, but it wasn't good. Well, guys, you know how I told you that I suspected this car had probably sat at some point for a long period of time? I want to show you something. Number one, I wanted to show you the spark plugs that came out of it. So here's the spark plugs. These are Motorcraft spark plugs, guys. Motorcraft spark plugs. Okay. I mean, whatever, to each their own. If somebody wants to use Motorcraft plugs, I guess that's their prerogative. But there you go. There's what the plugs look like, to be honest with you. I think the plugs actually look all right. You know, they're fine. But this is the cap off of the Schrader valve for the fuel pressure relief valve. Do you see that? That's rust. And inside of this is nothing but grime. It's super hard to focus, but yeah, that's nothing but grime. And inside, I was getting ready to hit the fuel relief valve, so I can make sure I've got no pressure on the fuel system. And hopefully you can see in there, that's all goo right here. Everything in there, this is all, it's like caked in rusted. That is not good, guys. So yeah, this is the relief valve. And here's the fuel pressure regulator with the new silicone hoses. I love silicone hoses because they bend. Normal hoses don't like to bend, but silicone hoses, they can withstand higher temperatures, and they're very flexible. I think I'm going to put that cap back on. I'm going to pretend that I even saw this. If this looks this bad, how bad are the injectors? That's what I want to know. All right, new fuel filter is installed. I'm glad I remembered that. We still got to change the oil filter. Here's the filter it came out of it. I was actually kind of hopeful that this filter might be in worse condition, but it's not. I mean, it's a little rough. It looks like it's been on there for a while, but I mean, nothing crazy came out of it. I didn't see a bunch of dirt, or it doesn't rattle. I mean, the gasoline's a little dark coming out of it, so it needed to be replaced, and it's been replaced. So I think now is as good a time as any. Let's fire this thing up. I think everything's buttoned up, and see if it runs any better. Knowing my luck, it's probably not going to. Why don't we open the garage door? I got gasoline all over my arms. It's all over the floor. I don't even care. Oh, the ignition's been on this whole time. That's great. I've been changing spark plugs with the ignition on. That could have bit me, couldn't it? Yeah, I figured that. There we go. Prime up. Well, let's see what it does. Again, I'm not expecting a miracle here, guys. Usually it dies. Hear that rattling? That sounds so bad. Yeah, here we go. Nothing changed. Well, that's positive. Yeah, it's gonna want to die again, I think. Hear it kind of cutting up. See? You can hear it just breaking up. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. And, well, it's trying to stay running. What a pain this thing can be, man. Seriously. But it's so nice looking, you know? And it only seems to really run like crap when it's cold. Once it warms up, it really starts running fine. So obviously when it warms up, we're gonna have to take it out for a spin. My lights are all working like they're supposed to. That makes me happy. I have working turn signals. That is also really nice, because that is not something I had up until today. Okay, good, good. The right turn signal worked, the left didn't. So I guess what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna break out my code reader for this car, and I'm gonna kind of run through some parameters real quick, see what things are looking like, and I'll come back and I'll show you guys when I figure it out. Well, as with everything else, we're having a We're having a hell of a time. I've got my instructions here for how to set the idle air control valve. That's really important in case it's misadjusted. This is a good way of setting things straight. Then we can adjust the throttle position sensor as well as adjust the engine RPM. The problem that I'm having right now is basically it seems like the exhaust on this thing is pretty well trashed. The downpipe goes into the catalytic converter. The rattling is actually, the catalytic converter is just under there and the downpipe is barely even attached to it. So that's nice. And of course I told you this header is cracked, so that's nice as well. I got out my new tool that I paid $150 for. And it's not working, or the car is not communicating. I think the tool works because it allows me to enter everything, but when I enter a mode that I want to go into, like, for example, I know it's dark, but let's say I want to go to mode 15, which would show me like the coolant temperature sensor. Mode, it says enter mode. We'll do 1.5, and we'll hit enter. No data. So it's like the ALDL connector. Oh, well, I guess it would help if I plug it in. We're quickly approaching 5 o'clock in the morning. All right, let's try it again. We're trying to get into mode 15. I'm going to hit enter. No data. You can scroll through all the different modes, and it says the same thing. No data. Well, since my little scanner does not seem to be functioning, we are going old school. I've got the ignition on. The car has obviously already been warmed up to operating temperature, and I stuck a wire, a red wire, into my ALDL port. We're going to let that sit there for about 30 seconds, and then we should be able to come under the hood and disconnect the idle air control valve, which sits right there. It's hard to see, but yeah, right there in the center of your screen. It's a tight fit. But we're going to need to disconnect that, and then we're going to need to start the car after removing the clips from the ALDL connector. And we're going to adjust the RPM and try to get it to where it sounds like. It's somewhere right around 750 RPMs. And then we can adjust the throttle position sensor, which I've already measured with a paper clip to back probe it. Paper clips work great on these old GM cars. And it's out of spec. It was reading 0.46 and it's supposed to be like 0.42. So that's definitely out of spec, and that's definitely going to cause it not to run very well either. So I think we've got a little bit of tuning to do. I was hoping we would be able to do the tuning with my scan tool, but unfortunately we're going to have to do this old school by ear. All right, following the instructions, we removed the clip from the ALDL connector. The idle air control valve is disconnected, and I'm going to say this is not 750 RPMs. So that's another problem. We're going to have to adjust this screw. There's a set screw right here. We need to turn that up because this thing needs to be running at 750 RPMs with the idle air control valve disconnected. So I'm going to adjust that with probably like a T20 or T25. And then we can adjust the throttle position sensor. Now this is all by ear, ladies and gentlemen, because like I said, my scanner doesn't work, but I want you to listen to this engine and tell me if you think that sounds like it's around 750 RPM. You can clearly hear the exhaust leak. I think we're probably right on the money at 750 RPM. So at this point, we should be able to shut the engine off. Well, hold on. Now it's idling up. Come on. Don't play games. See, now it's idled too high. So now we gotta back off this set screw just a hair. We gotta try to keep it around 750 RPMs. I'm thinking right about there. That's still maybe a little too high. We're gonna keep it there. That's what I'm gonna do. We're probably pretty close. Now we can shut it off. Now we can plug the idle air control valve back in, which is probably going to require me to remove this this hose, because there's no room. You can see that connector is right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to remove this this entire hose to get that thing back in there. All right, next step. 0.054. This is supposed to be between like 40 and 44 on the throttle position sensor right here. So this is obviously a tad bit out of whack itself. So, and all of this work may not gain us any results because obviously the manifold is cracked in half on this side right here. So that's not gonna help things any. So what I'm gonna do is, you're gonna see those numbers. I'm gonna grab onto this and kind of rotate it just a little bit until I see the numbers get down to about 42. Oh, that was quick. Oops. Definitely the wrong way. Slight adjustments. Come on. All right. I think we got it. Let's see if when I tighten this down, if it holds steady at 42, because sometimes when you tighten it down, it moves a little bit. So I'm just gonna gradually tighten it down, and it's tight. So it looks like we have got our throttle position sensor set at 0.42. So now we should have our idle air control valve adjusted properly. And hopefully, with any luck, our TPS is adjusted properly. And you shut it off, fire it up. Well, like I said, I wasn't expecting great results. And I got exactly what I was expecting. Yeah, we gained nothing. Well, the roosters are crowing, so it must be getting late. The sun will probably be coming up soon. I still have to go home and edit this video. It's now Saturday morning, and I'm still here. But here's something that I didn't tell you before. This door handle did not work. And this window was not adjusted properly. That corner of the window over there kind of fell short of the rubber gaskets here, which are fresh. Somebody put recent gaskets on this, so I just spent quite a while off camera because truthfully it was boring and mundane. But you close that door now, this window lines up nicely. I mean, it's flush all the way around. I ended up adjusting this side up just a hair as well. I checked the driver's side and it's perfect. So we had some air getting in through there. So here's the thing. I just got a bunch of codes to come out of this car. And I got, good Lord, a code 15, which I believe is a coolant temperature sensor low. So that will definitely cause problems. I also got, let me pull it up. I got a code 15. Then I got a code 22, which I think is the throttle position sensor. I got a code 34, which I think is the mass airflow sensor. Then I got a code 44, which is lean condition oxygen sensor. So I cleared the codes, but I'm glad we have some because at least it gives us somewhere to start. I think it's time to take it for a drive, guys. It's cold, so it's probably not going to be running good. Good Lord, look at the time. It's 6:38 in the morning. 6:38 in the morning, and it's the 4th of November. So I hope you guys enjoy this video when I finally get it out to you. I'm going to try to get it out to you by 9 a.m. Come on. Boy, look at the vacuum there. Yeah, it does not run well at the moment. But I'm pretty sure that I caught a glimpse of what the coolant temperature sensor said that the engine was running at, and it was like negative 40 degrees. That's not good, guys. That's absolutely not accurate. Checking my lights one more time, and then we're going to take it out for just a quick run. Boy, it sounds awful. It sounds so bad. All right, we got all of our lights functioning, and we got our new wheels on. I did make sure the wheels were torqued down. I think we're good to go. Let's get in here. Let's buckle up. Let's take it for a drive. All right, prepare for a bump. The muffler tends to hit when I back out of the shop. I'm gonna try to be ginger with it, but I know it's gonna scrape. No, it didn't scrape this time. All right, we can probably turn this light of mine off here. There we go. Let's see what it does or doesn't do. I'm really hoping it's just gonna run a little better. That's all I'm looking for. Just run a little bit better, man. All right, here we go. And it's breaking up. Again, it's cold though, so I get it. For whatever reason, when this thing is cold, hang it up, man. Turn signals are functioning. Turn the brights on. There's that turbo. Oh, wow. Wow. Whoa. That's better. It might idle like crap, but wow. Okay, let's flip it around. That was very responsive. Left turn signal. This is the turn signal that never worked before, and well, as you can see, it works now. All right. Oh, it's already doing so much better. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I wish I could see what the boost was at. I really do. Because you guys remember before, when we hit boost, it would just die, you know, it would break up, cut up. So here's the can you guys even see the boost gauge? Seems like it's just barely hanging on at 10 psi. Which, I mean, makes sense. The manifold is literally broken in half, so... Well... Let me flip around here real quick. We're not going to go on our 10-mile test drive. There's no reason to do that tonight. Just back and forth on the strip here is good enough. Mainly just want to see it warmed up. I love that sound. It pulls. I mean, no joke. It pulls, guys. It's a lot better than it used to be. It still needs a little work. Hopeful that maybe the check engine light will come back on again. We'll get some fresh codes, and maybe that'll give me an idea of where to start. I have a hard time believing that every one of those sensors that was throwing a code is bad. I do believe the mass airflow sensor, but the throttle position sensor, I tested it, and it was well within normal range from 0.42 all the way up to over 4.0 volts at full throttle. So I don't think there's a problem with the TPS. Coolant temperature sensor, that is a very big possibility. I have seen the CTSs fail before and not throw a check engine light. They'll sit there and read -40, -100 degrees, and the car thinks that it's like sub-freezing, you know, like -40 below. And the car tries, I guess, to dump a bunch of fuel. That's my guess. And can cause some problems. All right, should we see if it'll do a little burnout? She'll do a burnout. She'll absolutely do a burnout. Oh, those are brand new tires, man. What are we doing? We're gonna get her back into the shop. Come on. Come on. Easy. We're gonna bottom out. We always do. That muffler, man. See? Told you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Buick Grand National. So as you can see, now that it's warmed up, it's actually running halfway decent. Look at the boost gauge. It's holding what? 18? About 18 inches of vacuum. The engine sounds healthy. When it's cold, it just runs like crap. But once it warms up, I mean, it doesn't have a perfect idle. You're not going to balance a nickel on top of this engine, but for a Grand National, this thing is actually idling very well. You don't believe me? Go watch some videos on YouTube of Grand Nationals idling, because they could be kind of rough. I don't know. At the end of the day, how do I feel about the car? Am I still loving it, or am I getting tired of it? Honest to God, I actually really enjoy this car. It is so much fun, and I'm here to tell you, Jessica saved this car from a very unnatural fate that I think would have pissed off a lot of my subscribers and a lot of the viewers. I was thinking, because this engine was giving me problems, it's not been the easiest to get running right and tuned up. I thought, you know what? Forget all of this PFI junk. Let's ditch this. Why don't we pull out the engine and just drop a small block in it, a 350, you know, a nice built 350, maybe 350, 380 horsepower. It would keep everything pretty much on par with what it is right now. As far as torque goes, horsepower would actually be increased, and we wouldn't have any of the problems of this kind of quirky and bizarre engine. And I went to my fiance and I said, what do you think about this idea? It's going to make my life a lot easier. And she said, don't even think about it. Don't even think. She said, what are you doing? She was the voice of reason, and she is the reason that the car is sitting here today with, you know, a port fuel injected 3.8 liter that quite honestly has been giving me nothing but problems. With that said, currently it's running relatively well. The heat works, the AC comes on, the compressor kicks on. It's still factory R12, but it's not cold. All right, it kicks on, it kicks off, but the compressor isn't running long enough, so I'm assuming it's probably a little bit low on Freon. That's something we can address later. But as of right now, warmed up, listen to her purr. I think with some help from some specialty Buick Grand National companies, we might just be able to bring this thing back to life, bring her back to her former glory. I know it's not perfect. It never will be. I didn't pay a perfect price for it. I can tell you this, the paint is slick. I mean, Santa's workshop came over today and he took a look at this paint and he said, yeah, okay. He said, somebody really put something into it. Guys, the car is filthy. I mean, it's absolutely filthy, but look, that is a mirror finish on this. That's no joke. With as dirty as this car is, orange peel is almost non-existent on this paint job. So yeah, it's got a few mechanical gremlins. It's got a few quirks that need to be worked out. But at the end of the day, it's an absolutely beautiful car inside and out. Once we get the mechanicals figured out, guys, this thing will be a showstopper. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I can't believe it's still dark, but it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I've got something coming today. A car is being delivered in about 2 hours. That's a problem because this video is supposed to come out at 9, and it takes me an hour to get home and an hour to get back, and I've got a car being delivered at 9, which means this video is not coming out at 9 o'clock this morning. So I'm going to do my best to get this video out to you guys as soon as possible. It's literally the morning of you guys seeing the video, so you're seeing it just as I'm finishing it. I'll try to get this out to you hopefully no later than I don't know, maybe 11 o'clock. I'll do my best. Comment below, tell me what you think of the new wheels, and if you have any suggestions, I'm all ears. Please drop your comments below if you've got anything that could help me figure this thing out, especially with my little OEM scan tool, that Scan Tool 2000 or whatever. It's very bizarre. It could be that the machine it's possibly broken, but I paid $150 for it and they said it was in excellent shape. It turns on, it seems to function, but it will not read anything from this computer, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's time for one of those Scan Master G, is that what it's called? Sync Master G? I don't know, something like that. Maybe that would be better to help us diagnose this car. I'm gonna get out of here. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the thumbs up button, let me know. Definitely consider subscribing to the channel because there's gonna be a lot more videos on the Grand National. And until next time, stay safe out there, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon in the next one.